Team, what's up? All right, y'all, we're making moves. We're making better choices. We're changing our mindset. We're developing a healthy attitude about ourselves, which is big. We're seeing things with a better perspective, and we're establishing a foundation for which we can build upon. So now that we're moving in the right direction, and we've talked about overcoming failure and establishing the right mindset, we now have to ask ourselves the million-dollar question. And that question is, what's the goal? Where do you want to be? Who do you want to be? What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to attain? And let's start going after this goal by establishing a clearly defined goal. And I need you to hear me on this. There can't be any ambiguity about what the goal is, because getting exactly what you want starts with knowing exactly what you want. I'm going to say that one more time. Getting exactly what you want starts with knowing exactly what you want. At this point, we can't make any generalizations. You need to have a clearly defined, very specific goal. Now, I need you to hear me on this too, because I don't want you to forget about what's most important as we go after this goal. The question of what you want to do has to be accompanied by who do you want to be? I told you at the beginning of this course that we can't just be interested in achievements. You have to develop into the person you need to be to accomplish what you want to accomplish. When you become that person, success won't be too far away. Because let's be honest, if you're not satisfied with yourself on the inside, accomplishing a lot of stuff and the way things look on the outside won't even matter. What you've achieved, what you have, or what people think about you will almost be meaningless if you can't look yourself in the mirror and be proud. And that's why we spent all of last week talking about our choices, what we need to believe about ourselves, and the overall mentality we need to have, because external achievements mean nothing if you're miserable on the inside. Working from the inside out matters so much to me because I know from experience what it's like to look good on paper, but to feel like a failure when I looked in the mirror. And it was only when I began focusing on the inside that what was happening on the outside even mattered. I can honestly say that the more intentional I became about growing in life, the more I was able to identify what I really wanted out of life. I gotta run that back. The more intentional I became about growing in life, the more I was able to identify what I really wanted out of life. Watch this too. Being intentional about life also helped me see that a lot of the things that I thought I really wanted only stemmed from my insecurities. I wasn't trying to be a better person. I was trying to cover some stuff up. But that understanding never would have come to the surface if I didn't deal with who I was first. Because sometimes we don't even realize that we want certain things for the wrong reasons. And we don't always recognize all of the external forces that are driving us. Sometimes we're being driven by what society expects from us, by what our family expects from us, by what we want to prove to other people. And when that happens, we may get what we wanted, but it never brings us joy and satisfaction. So you really need to take your time and dig deep and be 1,000% sure that what you're going after is what you really want, because you don't want to waste your time and energy going after things that in the end won't bring you any closer to finding fulfillment and satisfaction in your life. And that brings us back to our original question. What's the goal? Now, if you already have a goal in mind, let's just put it on the record. If you print out the worksheets or if you're taking notes on your laptop, what you're going to focus on today is writing down your goal or goals, why you want to accomplish those goals, and who you want to become in the process. And be completely honest with yourself. If you want that beach body just to be more attractive and not necessarily because you want to be healthier, then write that down. If your goal is to make it big so you can flex on social media and shut down all your haters, then write that down. If your goal is to get rich so that you can retire your parents and leave an inheritance for your children, then write that down. Be as honest as you possibly can, because the process is going to expose your motives anyway. And the sooner you have clarity on exactly what you want, why you want those things, and who you want to become in the process, the sooner you'll be able to execute on that plan. You may already have a clear understanding about what you want to accomplish, why you want to accomplish those things, and who you want to become in the process. But just to make sure we're not leaving anyone behind, I want you to use the model that I created. This model will help you establish the components you'll need for your goal. It's going to help you clearly define the goal, and it's going to help you create a strategy that will help you foresee success. The model should be easy for you to remember because it's the goal model. The goal model is an acronym that stands for goal, opportunities and obstacles, actions, and launch. The model is in your workbook, so take it out and let's look at it together. When you're setting a goal, you want to be as clear and specific as possible. Because again, knowing exactly what you want to do will help you determine exactly how you're going to do it. So to make sure that you have a clear and specific goal, you're going to ask yourself these 5 questions about the goal that you have. And you've heard these questions before. You're going to ask yourself who, what, when, where, and why. We're going to keep it real simple. Now, as you ask yourself these questions, you should of course start with what, because what you want to do is the starting point. But as I go over them with you, I'm going to address them in their current order, simply because that order is already familiar to most of us. So we're asking ourselves, who is responsible for the goal being accomplished? What is the goal? When are we going to work on the goal? Where are you going to work on the goal? And why is this a goal? Who, what, when, where, and why? And let's take them one by one. Obviously, you're going to be the main character in this story, but I want you to always keep this in mind. Even if you can't clearly identify someone else who's going to be involved at this point of the process, the saying that no man is an island is very applicable here. There's no such thing as being self-made. So as you go along in this process, it's very likely that someone else or multiple people will be involved in some way. So always be open to other characters being inserted into your story. And we're going to talk about foreseeing success through community later. So just keep that in mind. On the other hand, if it's already clear that there will be multiple people involved, maybe a team, answering this question will be very important, because when it's time to take action, knowing who is responsible will help you get organized, will help you divvy out responsibilities, and will also help you maintain accountability. Next, we're asking ourselves, what is the goal? Actually, let's modify that and ask, what is the specific goal? When we determine our goal, we want to be as specific as possible, because that specificity will help us create an action plan that is also very specific. We don't want to have an ambiguous goal like, I want to get in shape, because all you're saying is that you want to change something about your body. But because you weren't specific about what you wanted to change, you wouldn't know the type of exercises, support, food, or even equipment you might need to get in the shape that you're not clear about getting into. But if you said you wanted to lose 15 pounds, then you'd know the direction you needed to go. You'd have an idea about the type of equipment you might need, and you'd find it much easier to determine all of the things you could do to lose 15 pounds. So answering this question is extremely important, because it's going to directly affect how you execute or don't execute on your goal. So take your time with this, because your very specific goal is going to be the North Star guiding you throughout this entire process. Next, we're asking ourselves, when are we going to work on, and in some cases, when do we plan to accomplish the goal? Answering when is going to be a huge part of your success, because it's going to hold you accountable to a schedule. It's going to help you with planning, and it's going to help you measure your movement. A lot of what we're going to be dealing with here obviously has to do with your daily activities and the dates and deadlines that you set for yourself or that are determined by the goal. Now, if I can just pause real quick, you'll see how a goal gets more specific as you move through the model. If we use the example of exercise that I mentioned earlier, so far we would have who, you or I. What? Want to lose 15 pounds. And now that we're asking when, we could say that we want to accomplish the goal in 2 months by exercising 3 times a week. You see how it's becoming more and more specific? And as we continue with where and why, then you would obviously add those answers to the goal. But that's what I'm talking about when I say be specific. You can't be accountable to the goal of just getting in shape, because there are a million different shapes you could get into. But you can be accountable to, I want to weigh 15 pounds less by working out 3 times a week for a span of 60 days. You can be accountable to a goal like that. Now, before we move on to where, I don't want you to miss the last part about measuring your movement, because that's going to be extremely important, because it's going to tell you whether you need to slow down and make some adjustments because things aren't working out as planned, or if you're able to maintain the pace you're at or even speed up because things are working out well. And using our current example to measure our movement would be perfect, because when you step on a scale, you'll know if your workouts need improvements or if you're going to surpass your goal, because you'll see the results. So as it pertains to when, I want to make sure that you understand that your schedule and the dates and deadlines that you establish are not just about time, but that they're also about gauging your performance and potential. Next, we need to know where you're going to work on the goal. Now, the importance of where depends on the goal. If there's a specific place where you have to perform your tasks, like a gym, in an office, in a classroom, or even virtually, then answering this question is especially going to be important when we talk about your routine. Because if you're going to be effective, you also need to be consistent. And if you're not able to consistently execute on the goal because of accessibility, availability, distance, or maybe not even having a space to work in at all, you'll just be setting yourself up for failure. So even if there isn't a specific place where your tasks need to be performed, it would still be to your benefit to establish a consistent workspace where you can focus, that's readily available, and where you can get some good work in. And lastly, why is this a goal? We've talked about our why in our previous session, so I won't go over that again because you already know how important that is. But since we've answered all 5 of the questions, let me show you what a specific goal will look like. Say, using our example of exercise. I want to lose 15 pounds in 60 days by exercising in the gym 3 times a week because I've outgrown my favorite jacket and want to wear it to my class reunion. If you can answer who, what, when, where, and why, then you'll have a specific goal. Next, you're going to look at the obstacles and opportunities that may be attached to your goal. For many of you, this isn't your first rodeo. You've had goals before. Maybe like a lot of people, you made some New Year's resolutions. You worked on them for a while, and then something came up, something went wrong, you lost motivation, some obstacle got in the way, and you quit. And right here is where you're going to lay out some of the obstacles that you may have experienced before that might still be relevant today and are keeping you from finding success. And you know yourself, so keep it real. If you have a problem with procrastination and there are hard deadlines attached to your goal, then make sure procrastination is listed as one of your obstacles. If you're not where you want to be financially, and maybe there's a class, a certification, or some equipment that you may need to pay for, but you just don't have the money right now, then make sure finances are listed as an obstacle. Some of you may have a goal to heal from some trauma that you've experienced before. And you know that just thinking about that situation brings back some of the pain you've been suppressing. Write that down. We're writing these things down and putting them out in the open because we need to recognize our weak spots. And we all have them. But we're recognizing them to address them. Listen, We're not here to just talk about this stuff. We're here to deal with it. And some of you have been stuck in failure because you refuse to deal with the obstacles that are already in your way. So stop sweeping them under the rug. Shine the light on them so we can address them. Now, obviously, there are some obstacles that you already know that you're going to need to address, but there are also some obstacles that are just going to show up. We need to address those as well. But we're not trying to come up with a predetermined response to all of them. We just want to stay in the mindset of finding solutions, because this section isn't just about obstacles, it's also about opportunities. This section is for your mentality as much as it is for your strategy, because a lot of you only see the obstacles. You only see the negative. You only see the setbacks. You only see the mistakes. And you have to start seeing the opportunities that walk alongside of those obstacles, because there's an opportunity in every obstacle. Let's take one of the obstacles I mentioned before and use it as an example. Say you're not where you want to be financially, but there are expenses attached to your goal. Not having all the money, or any of the money for that matter, would no doubt be a huge obstacle. But there's an opportunity with every obstacle. So maybe this situation could create the perfect opportunity to not only address your finances in general, but to address them in a way where your goal could be included in, say, a new budget. Maybe this will be the perfect time to talk to a financial planner. Maybe it will be the perfect time to consider a more lucrative job. Maybe all it would take is eating out less for several months. Maybe you could cancel all of those unnecessary subscriptions to save some money and free up some time while you're at it. Maybe you could return that very expensive item that you just bought because it's not helping you do anything anyway. I don't know what you would need to do to get where you want it to be financially, but there's no doubt that addressing your financial situation would not only put you in a better position to accomplish your goal, but it would obviously be better for your bank account. And you're killing two birds with one stone. But watch this. You wouldn't have addressed the obstacle that you saw in your finances if you didn't see the opportunity to address them with your goal. And yes, you won't always notice your opportunities right away. But if you maintain the right perspective, you'll be able to see them much clearer simply because you're looking for them. Because there's an opportunity with every obstacle. All right, team, we're halfway through the model, and we're going to stop right here so you can focus on establishing your specific goal and thinking about the obstacles and opportunities that could accompany your goal. And tomorrow, we'll be back to work on the second half of the model. So take your time, and I'll see you next time. Peace.